And so you have these bases and you have these underground caverns where a lot of this stuff supposedly happens. How do you hide all this stuff from the public? Well, you put them way down beneath the earth. And then we also have giants that are still allegedly around today. And so we talked about how this Nephilim, that the progeny of fallen angels mating with human created the Nephilim, that these were the giants of old. And we see it all over the earth. Large bones have been found, large skeletons have been found. I mean, these are, everyone speculates how tall they actually got, but some say 7 feet, 8 feet, up to 20 feet higher. Who knows? But the point is, these are the giants, and there are modern day accounts, not just of really tall people. The tallest man in the world, I think, was I forget that dude's name. His name was Robert something. He was like 8 feet 11. It's not just a tall guy, but these are tall, freakishly tall beings, but have the mobility and the agility of like a 5'10" running back in the NFL. So like a 15-foot built, jacked dude with the speed and the agility of like a 5'10" running back. These are freaks of nature, literally. And so they're who Israel in the promised land, Joshua led Israel into Canaan, and all those wars that happened where they had to obliterate all those tribes and clans, those were all giant clans. And when you like actually dig into, do some research on each one of those clans, that's what you'll discover. God told Israel, wipe them out, not just because they were really bad humans kind of living in Israel's territory, but they were giant clans. They were hybrid races that God never intended to be created. So he said, take them out. And then the most famous one in the Bible is Goliath. He was another giant. And so there's modern day accounts. And one of the most famous ones that I've heard about 6 or 7 years ago that there's a ton of information on. This is not just, one random story from some random person. It's the Kandahar giant, I think over in Afghanistan, where a bunch of U.S. troops, they were in front of this cave, and then out came this red-haired, literal giant, and they took him. It took like 6 or 7 guys to fill it with a whole bunch of bullets to finally put the thing down. And then there's the whole conspiracy of, what happened with the body, and then a lot of people think that the U.S. government took it and then they hid it, and then there's other military accounts where U.S. troops over there in the Middle East on their night stakeouts, and they're on watch, and then they're looking through their infrared binoculars and just kind of scoping out the scene because it's super dark in the middle of the night there, and they see these things coming up on their infrared binoculars, creatures running up and down mountains that no human could do, and standing up, and they're as tall as the trees out there. And so it's just like there's crazy accounts, and there's literally hundreds and hundreds of them, and it's very easily accessible information. And so you have giants still existing today. And so again, giants existed before the flood, giants existed after the flood. And so you have the flood happening, you have Sodom and Gomorrah, the judgment there. These were giant clans. That was a giant clan city. It's happening today still. And now the next area I want to look at is, we've all heard of CERN. And CERN is that large hadron collider over in Switzerland where basically they've created this thing where they're just smashing particles together at insane speeds. And I think the mainstream narrative is that they're trying to discover, new particles, new things that have never been discovered yet. But when you're looking at what they're trying to do, a lot of the conspiracy angle to that is they're trying to, create a portal. They're trying to open up a dimension. They're trying to smash these things together to create so much energy as to open to create an actual portal opening to a different dimension. Because when you look at CERN and outside of, I think, outside of the facility, you have statues of pagan gods, and so there's a whole bunch of weird pagan satanic imagery associated with it. And so who knows what's really going on there? There's a lot of, yeah, again, a lot of speculation, but when you are messing with the elements in a ungodly fashion and you're trying to create openings to different dimensions, you're violating the bounds of what God has established again, which he God's not cool with. And so you have that happening today. And then what's connected to kind of all of those things, aliens and the alien abductions, the satanic creation of Nephilim, giants, and CERN, you have these deep underground military bases all over the world. And, you have Area 51, you have Raven Rock, you have the HARP research station, you have the apparent underground bases in Antarctica. I mean, you have all this stuff. And it's in these areas, because there's massive underground caverns, undiscovered caverns all over the world, like everywhere. I think the stat was only 5% of the caverns have actually been discovered and actually walked through by a human. And so you have these bases and you have these underground caverns where a lot of this stuff supposedly happens. How do you hide all this stuff from the public? Well, you put them way down beneath the earth. And so this is where a lot of the alien aircraft is reverse engineered. This is where, a lot of the aliens that have been recovered by the U.S. government, this is where they're kept. And this is where the unimaginable experimentation happens, like I mentioned with that girl Elle, and caves and underground bases. This is where a lot of kids and a lot of people are kidnapped, and this is where they're taken down in these massive underground systems that are all over the earth. But again, that's a whole other episode in itself that I want to get into. But this is where a lot of this forbidden stuff is practiced, and this is where it happens in these bases. And then next, I want to talk about one of the things that the fallen angels, when they came to Earth and they made it with the human women, they also taught them forbidden knowledge. And so I want to get into alchemy. And I've recently been introduced to this. And basically, alchemy is the transformation or transmutation of matter and reality. And so this is where you get into, witchcraft and sorcery and magic and enchantment. And so the dictionary of deities and demons is a very dense scholarly work that basically goes through the Bible and picks out every mention of a demonic entity, a creature, and it defines it. It's a dictionary of all those terms. And so what they define as what these fallen angels did, the Watchers imparted illicit revelation about astrology, roots and spells, and the making of weapons. So that's what they taught humanity. And then another writer, he says this. He says the fallen angels taught their wives and children a variety of new technological skills, magical knowledge, and occult wisdom. And this suggests that psychic abilities and magical powers were originally an ancient inheritance from the angelic realm, from the fallen angels. This is that illicit occult wisdom that was taught, given to early humans. And then in the Luciferian tradition, branch of Satanism, this is known in spiritual and metaphorical terms as the witch blood, elven blood, or fairy blood that is possessed by witches and wizards. And then the Wycliffe Bible Encyclopedia defines a sorcerer as one who was said to have superhuman or occult power by virtue of spells, magic, or secret knowledge obtained from evil spirits. Okay, so basically that's what alchemy is. It takes matter and reality and it infuses it with witchcraft and sorcery to create, to alter, to transmute reality and matter. And I know it sounds very fantastical and it sounds crazy, but this is the kind of stuff this is the forbidden knowledge that when you look at groups like the Illuminati and the secret societies, this is that knowledge that is passed down. This is the knowledge that is sought out. This kind of stuff is what the angels taught humanity in Genesis 6. That it wasn't that they just taught them metallurgy, how to make, swords. They were teaching them how to take the materials, metal and all that stuff to create forbidden technology. It's not just these archaic weaponry, but high technological, advanced, ancient technology. And that they taught them how to take roots and herbs, basically how to take common herbs and plants and that kind of stuff to create magical potions, to create drugs, to create forbidden substances, if you will. This is the illicit revelation and knowledge that was given to humanity. And there is a lot of data and record of this happening today. This is what happens in satanic ritual abuse ceremonies and rituals. This is what's happening in a lot of New Age circles. This is what's happening in a lot of people are playing with this stuff.